Chicken just hopped up into a bookshelf area we have. They've been laying eggs up there. They're not laying a lot of eggs right now, but they're still laying a couple, and that's their favorite spot. It's not very cushiony at all. They used to be laying in this cat bed we have over there. They really liked it, but now they're just kind of laying in this like bare shelf. Anyway, so one just hopped up. Welcome to a new episode of Vegetables Matter. This is a craft cast about my fiber life. My name is Chloe, and it is a sunny and chilly November morning. So I'm working right now on a crochet project, which I'll talk about. I have a crochet project, a knitting project, but the main thing that I'll be talking about today is a bunch of dyeing that I have here. I'd really been putting off dyeing all summer. There were lots of things I'd been wanting to work on and just didn't really have the time for, and I kept saying in the fall, and then October came and I said, yep, it's the time. So I've I've got quite a few dye baths here. It's a pretty rainbow. So that'll be the bulk of what I talk about. And in fact, should we start there? I can't decide where to start. I guess I should have decided first. Why not? Let's start there. Okay, so this is my tray of newly dyed things. It's kind of a mess. Where do I start? I guess I'll start at the beginning, although I think the beginning is kind of at the bottom. Some things are not newly dyed, but we're just in here to show off the rainbow. Got a bunch of silk that really in each dye bath I threw in some silk, which now makes this rainbow, and I'll talk about that later. So the first thing I dyed, and honestly I don't even remember this one at this point. I got so engrossed with some other things that apparently at the beginning I did some avocado dye, which this is definitely the most successful that I have ever had. Oh shoot, now I don't remember what the things are at all. Well, anyway, the most successful that I've had, it's not my favorite color. It's maybe a little bit more brown than the pinks that some people can get, but I've just realized that even though when I dye, it can be really fun to get a pink, it's not really something that I want to work with beyond that. And so, I think that's just good to recognize, especially as I'm discovering some other things that so far have been really exciting and I do really want to work with. So I don't know that I'm ever going to dye with avocados again, although I'm such an avocado aficionado that it's a little bit sad because it's, I eat them all the time, so why not use the rest for this other passionate part of my life. But here it is. This is silk, so silk noils. And there will be a lot of that throughout. And then this is roving. And I can't say I remember what this roving is. It could be Cinderella, which is a Rambouillet roving that I got. That would be my first guess. Is Rambouillet for this one. Okay, number 1, avocados. what did I do next? I want to go chronologically. Okay, as I've talked about in the last episode, I don't know how much I've talked about it or not on here. I definitely talked about it, but really one of my favorite things this summer was growing Tango cosmos. Just absolutely beautiful flowers. I got so much enjoyment from going out every morning and plucking, basically deadheading the flowers, saving those. So I had quite a bit. Shoot, I don't have my paper now with all the amounts that I had. That's silly. Okay, so in the Tango Cosmos, I believe the first thing I put in was this. This looks like it is Targi. Before this, I also did a bunch of Morgantine, obviously. I didn't have a lot. This was kind of challenging. Like, I was kind of pulling everything out of the stash. What can I dye? What's white that I can dye? And I pulled everything out, and I've been dyeing a lot of it. And I don't know, things have felt a little bit scarce. But I've also just been like, well, this is what I have. Let's use it. I can definitely kind of want to save things. And it's been good just to try not to worry about that and say, no, right now I have stuff, let's use it right now. So anyway, this beautiful orange. And then, how did I do things? Sorry, I'm kind of forgetting the orders. I should have been writing more down as I was going, but at the time I remembered, and then I wanted to do this episode so that I could remember more, but apparently too much time has passed. So anyway, I don't remember the order, but things kind of went in at different times. So I also have this silk, the silk noils. Yeah, just a really nice orange. And then I've got kind of this deeper orange as well. So again, I'm forgetting. I know that if I raised the pH, I was getting deeper oranges. I'm a little bit worried about it because I think that a higher pH can be bad for wool. I think with cotton and cellulose fibers, they actually like that, but the wool, it can break the wool down, and I don't know how quickly. I don't know at what point. Is it anything above neutral? I don't know. I have a lot to learn. So I've discovered how fun it is and how much more I can do if I play with the pH. So I just feel like I opened this whole new world of play, and then also sometimes it's like, oh, I like that color, but it's not what I want for this project. And so sometimes when you have an idea of what you want, instead of just accepting, oh, this is what I got, there are ways to be like, oh, okay, that's nice, I got this, but if I do this, then it can deepen it, or it can turn it more this, or it can turn it more that. So much more to learn. It's just, opening this whole new world, I feel. Beautiful, beautiful orange here. So my friend Rachel, her daughter and I share a birthday. And so as our birthday was coming up, I thought it would be really fun to invite them over to do a dye bath. Her daughter just turned 5, and she's really into fiber stuff. She's really just been raised with her mom exploring all this stuff, and she's just gobbled it up, and she's just a cutie pie. So I invited them over, and I had a number of dye baths going. I said, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this, and we opted for 2 of them. So with the Tango Cosmos, she put some stuff in there as well and got a really, really beautiful orange. And then all together out here in the backyard, we built a fire because, it was good to be outside because of coronavirus. So we built a fire back here and did a marigold dye bath. So she had a couple things in that first bath, and I had this merino roving. This merino I got at the same time that I got the silk noils that I've been showing. When I bought a drum carder quite a number of years ago, the person included quite a bit of fiber with it, including the merino and the silk noils. So I think this is the last of the merino. I haven't used a lot of it, but I've used a bit of it, and so I dyed it all and got this very beautiful yellow. so I think it was just that, and then the two that Rachel and Lily. And then after I took all that stuff out, then I threw in some silicone oils. This is a bit of a lighter yellow. And then I ended up combining the rest of the Tango Cosmos liquid with the Marigolds liquid. And I dyed this pound of merino fleece that I have. So yeah, I like the color that I got here. Ta-da! Would actually go really well with this project that I'm working on now, but the project I don't have time to spin for. I need to get some yarn and try some more dyeing. But yeah, I think it'll work well for something. With the Tango Cosmos, dried weight, I think I did like a 1-to-1 dried weight with this first amount. Is that true? Or maybe at first I put both things in. That kind of sounds right. And it was maybe 1-to-1 weight with these two things. And I just felt like this, I mean, it got such a vibrant color and it just kept going and going and going and going. So that was really cool to learn that, you know, you really can dye so much with not that much of it. With the Marigolds, it was a little bit trickier because it was fresh weight, and I don't think I actually measured weights of anything, so that was just kind of random. Concurrently with all of that, I was also dyeing with the Seneca red stalker corn husks. This summer, as I was pulling off the corn husks, which didn't produce super well, I had a major earwig problem, but it was okay because I knew that I wanted to save this for the dyeing potential, and so I've got this giant bag of them. Yeah, so I ended up doing, I think, just slightly over the dry weight of this to the dry weight of the first skein that I put in. I think the skein was maybe about 80 grams, and I probably put in like 90 grams or something. So this is the first thing. I don't know if you can see it. It is this really, really beautiful slate blue. So I've been on a yarn diet all year, and the diet has smashed to smithereens. This is the first thing I got. So for the winter solstice gift exchange that's coming up, I have selected a pattern that I'm really excited about, and I didn't want to I looked through my stash first, and it was just I didn't have enough of anything to make it work, and so I just thought, you know, it's too much to try to spin it all up and then create all of this, and so I'm just going to buy some yarn and go from there. So I purchased this from Nottawonk Farms, which is just in the north of Utah, up in Cache Valley. So I bought 4 skeins. I need 3 skeins, and I bought 4 just so I could play around with color, and if something didn't work out, I would still have something. They were all kind of different though, and one of them ended up not really being a worsted weight. They're all supposed to be worsted weights, but one of them is not. And so I ended up deciding not to use that one. Anyway, big long story. But this one I have, and then the other one is, so this was completely white, and now it's just this really nice slate blue. It turned this really, really deep color. And then this is a natural brown. So the pattern that I found, well, it's for my friend Tiana, who is challenging to gift for because she's incredibly talented. So we're all a little bit nervous when we get her because she's just capable of doing everything. But I finally came across this idea and I'm so excited about it. She loves horses. She has a horse, Atticus, and so I'm going to be making this running horses cowl for her. So this will be that outside color. This will be her horse, Atticus. And then I really like this color in the middle. I think it looks really nice. Let's get the sun on it. The middle one is some hand spun that I've talked about, similar to my mitts. It's the same thing, a 3-ply dock, and dyed with dock and dyed with rabbit brush. Anyway, but I don't have enough of it, so that's my problem. I'm actually going to be meeting up with Nautilonk tomorrow, and I'm going to buy a couple more skeins so that I can do some more dyeing. I'm going to dye, I think, with some Cosmos, because I do also like, I found that I didn't like brighter yellows with it. It was too much. But I tended to like more orangey colors with it. So I'm going to try dyeing with the Tango Cosmos to get a middle color that I like. Okay, so that was kind of a tangent, but this was the first thing that I dyed with the corn husks. I was surprised at the color and quite delighted. It then sat there because I had these other dye baths going, and we didn't decide to do it with Rachel and Lily. We didn't decide to use the corn husk bath. We focused on these other two. So it sat there for several days and it started smelling a bit. So I was about to just pour it out. And as I was about to do that, I just noticed like how gorgeous the color in there was. And I thought, you know, I'm just gonna throw something in there. So I threw in some more silk noils, and I didn't ever heat it. I just kind of let it sit for a couple days outside, warming when the sun hit it and cooling off a lot as well. And dun 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 dun, I got this incredible purple color. It's amazing. It's just amazing. So Meghan had told me that if I add an acid, then it'll shift the color more towards red. Because I was surprised. She's gotten reds and maybe purples out of it, and I was really surprised to get this blue. You know, I do have pH strips, and so when I checked the pH, it was already quite acid. Like, I want to say for this, it was like what was it, a 4 or 5? However, because fermentation does make things more acid, then this ended up being, it did shift it that way. And so I think that's why I got this more purple. I was a little bit worried, you know, because it was already so acidic, about adding more acid to it. I just didn't know what that would do. I've talked to her since, and I don't think that it's a problem. I think wool likes acid. Not that that's wool, that's silk. Anyway, so again, I just have so much more to learn, and I'm really excited about it. So I got so much color from those two that I did decide to throw something else in as well. And this one, I brought the temperature up just a bit. I had it in there for a couple days maybe, and then I just thought, you know, let's just give it a little bit of heat, teeny tiny bit of heat, just to see what that does. And I ended up with this color, kind of this lavender, definitely a little bit gray. So I would say both of these are quite cool. They don't really have as much of that red. I mean, obviously purple has to have red, but it feels quite like a cool purple, more towards gray rather than towards red. Whereas this, I think, does very much have that pinky color as well in it. It's just a little bit more of a rosy purple, whereas this is more of that cool purple. So then I did get rid of the the dye bath at that point. But I have so much more to play with, and I'm so excited about it. This is like my favorite dye plant right now because I like purples and blues. I also really like greens. I haven't totally figured out a good green yet. That's definitely where things are lacking, but I'll get there. I'll find something that works. But just so excited about the Seneca red stalker corn. Look at this beautiful rainbow of silk. My idea right now with it is, so this is all single plies. My idea right now is to get maybe some gray wool, either as fleece or roving, and spin it and then ply it together, and then and ply it in rainbow order, so the gray will be consistent, but then when I run out of pink, then I go to orange, then I go to the next one. So maybe I'll do some more dyeing to get a couple more colors, then I'll have this rainbow, and then I can make something cool with it. That's the idea right now. We'll see. Things change a lot. I usually leave the garden for last, but it makes sense to talk about it right now. So I guess what I want to talk about garden-wise, again, because so much time has passed, I forget what I've talked about, but that's okay. It can be snippets. It doesn't have to be everything. But I just really want to talk about the three sisters that I planted this year. So I did have a three sisters in the front and a three sisters in the back, but the three sisters in the front were all seeds given to me by Meghan, and she very specifically wanted to give me this set of seeds that could be grown together. And they've just been the most delightful gift. I've just really enjoyed it, with more or less success in different things, but just overall it's just been so much fun. So the seeds, the squash seeds she gave me were the candy roasters, which Dawid and I have been eating recently. So he likes the garden, and that he really appreciates what I do out there. He's not super connected to the garden, and so doesn't really know what's going on exactly, but then as he's eating more of the things from it, then he's just like, oh wow, like this, he's really recognized what an amazing gift this has been as well. So really enjoying the candy roaster squash. And then, like I've been talking about with the corn, I didn't get a lot of corn themselves. I've got, maybe probably a dozen, but some of them are better than others. Yeah, so not a lot there, but still I got something, and something is fun. So they were really fun to unwrap and discover the magical colors inside, and then saving this for the dye. It's just been so much fun. And then for the beans, she gave us some cave beans, and I've grown beans in the past, not a lot, and they haven't been super successful. I'm not a big green bean person. I think I could learn to be, but it's just not something that I do. It's not something that I liked when I was a kid. Now I can't imagine not liking a vegetable, so I'm sure it could be good. I just don't really know what to do with it. I know that beans are very good for the soil. They fix nitrogen in the soil, which is really good for all of the other plants. And so that was honestly part of Meghan gave me these seeds, so I wanted to do it. But then in the backyard, honestly, that was kind of the main reason. I was like, I don't really care about the beans, but they say it's good for the soil, so I'll do it just as a soil enhancement. I have realized that green beans aren't the end-all be-all. Like it doesn't have to be green beans. You don't have to pick them when they're immature. You can grow beans. This is where beans come from. I love beans. So yeah, just really had a mind shift there. Really transformative. Really excited. I want to grow tons more. I felt like we grew a fair bit, like harvesting it all in before the frost. Things weren't dried yet, but I just needed to bring it in so that it wouldn't get killed by the frost. I had this giant mound. There were tons of pods all over it. They've been drying out, and I've been getting them, I've been shelling them and everything, and I was really hoping that this bowl would overflow, and it doesn't look like it's going to, but I did measure how much I have right now. There's still a few more pods left that need to finished drying, but I have a little over a pound, so not tons. I would love if one year I could grow 50 pounds of beans, and yeah, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna just start growing more in trellises. So one thing I discovered with this variety, these cave beans, is that they are very, very vigorous vines, which means they're actually not ideal to grow with corn because they just kind of topple the corn over because they're just so vigorous. And I definitely had that happen. I didn't worry about it so much because my corn was already not being super successful, so it was just like, whatever, that's fine. That's kind of what's happening. But anyway, something that I've learned for the future, and I think I just really need to have lots of trellises and grow things up the house and things like that. So yeah, big discovery that really makes me have ideas for the future. They're gorgeous as well, and also, I was hoping that they would overflow the bowl. They're not doing that, but I definitely can like very satisfactorily like dig my fingers in and have like an Amelie moment, and Amelie plus just like little kid, right? Sensory experience. So that's been really pleasurable. The other garden thing is the other day I winnowed my Hopi sunflower seeds. So I didn't get a lot this year. I didn't get a lot last year. Together with both years, I've got a full container to dye with. So to dye and then also to eat. Yeah, that's fun. Oh, this is funny, Meghan. Just all the gifts from you. This was another gift from Meghan one time. Some honey. That's funny. Okay, so now let's talk about the typical things people talk about. Knitting. Sorry, knitting and crocheting. Because it's already out, let's talk about this crochet project I was working on at the beginning. So this is a blanket that I started a couple of years ago, and I've just kind of worked on a little bit. Well, worked on it a lot at times, and then stopped. Last year I was working on it. I never showed it just because it didn't make sense. And then I really got to a standstill because I finished the body and needed to transition to the border, and I'd never printed out the pattern for this, and it just never worked out that I was thinking about it to do it when I had access to the pattern. And then there were often times when I was away where it's like, oh, that would be the perfect project, but I didn't know how to continue. So I finally have gotten past that and figured out what to do for the border. So voila. Yeah, it's this pretty cabled pattern. And let's see, I think here you can see I'm just on my second round of the border. The first one was a setup, and now it's really kind of coming out. So it's doing these, basically a ribbing with front and back posts. So that's what that's going to look like. That's going the same way that the blanket was crocheted, and then this is going along the side of it. So I'm just planning to use up as much of the yarn as I can. It's been eating it up, once you start going around the border, it does just eat up yarn. So it probably won't be as thick as I was maybe anticipating, but I've got this, and then I've got one more skein. So I'll use that all up, and then the blanket will be done. Okay, the other thing is my knitting project. So again, I'm working on a pair of mittens. This is another pair of Thrummed mittens for my mom this time. And here is the first one, all done except for weaving in the ends. Let's see, I'll take this off so I can put it on. Ta-da! Oh, it's cute. They are just such little bundles of happiness and warmth. In case you don't know what Thrummed mittens are, that means that I've got all of this fleece sticking out on the inside of it to just make it a very fuzzy cloud inside. My goal is to have this done by Thanksgiving, which is in less than a week. Although I don't know if I'll even see my mom this Thanksgiving. We're still deciding what is smart right now. So I've started the second pair. It looks like I just finished the second thrum. So got quite a ways to go, but yeah, hopefully this weekend I'll have some good time to make some progress on it, and voila. Cute. The yarn is Icelandic that I had processed by Spinderellas into a lovely loopy, and the roving is again from the drum carder. When the people sent me some fiber with it, there were 4 things. There was white roving, this really brilliant gold roving, silk noils, and silk roving. And actually I've been using a lot of them right now. Like, I've had this stuff for many years, and it's fun that I'm using it up. So this was the gold that I over dyed in indigo and got this amazing green. I love this green so much. Okay, I think I'm done. So I'm wanting to get this done by Thanksgiving, and then I really need to cast on for the running horse's cowl, because that, oh my gosh, I've got 1 month. Yeah, I'm gonna have to work in high gear to work on that. Luckily for my stocking gift exchange stuff, I already completed what I need in February, so got that done, so I really can just focus on this. And yeah, oh yeah, so with my yarn diet, I mentioned that I broke it with this, and then tomorrow I'm meeting up with the woman again and buying an entire fleece from her, plus 2 more skeins, because I just want to dye. Like, I just feel this urge to just be dyeing and I feel quite constrained because I just don't have a lot to dye with. So I'm getting a whole fleece, and then I'm bringing it directly to Spinderella's to have her process it into basically what this stuff is, which is a 3-ply worsted weight. And it's a little bit crazy, it's a little bit expensive, but I'm excited about it, and I can dye lots and lots of stuff. I'd really love to hear what you are up to, especially if you're doing something as you're watching. You know, what are you working on? What have you got going in your life, fiber-wise or otherwise as well? I hope you are doing well. And finding joy in your life. I'll be honest, last week I was having a really challenging time. Really, the past number of weeks. I've been having a really hard time at work. And you know, things are hard. So this week, I mean, you know, there's different things that I tell myself when things are hard. You know, sometimes it really is just that story where I'm just like, today's just a crap day, and then I just kind of, you know, I just kind of get into that, and I have to say, you know, like, just because I was feeling that way for a few hours, like, that doesn't mean that I have to feel that way right now. Like, I don't have to continue that trajectory. And sometimes that works, just to kind of break that pattern. And then other times it's like, it doesn't work. It's just like, no, actually, I can't talk myself out of this. I've been having a much better week at work this week, and I think a big thing that's helped me a lot is I have installed a an app on my computer, on my work computer, that tells me to take mini breaks and rest breaks. So every few minutes it'll tell me to take a 30-second break where I just can stretch, or sometimes I'll hop up and like do some jumping jacks, which feels fantastic. I've also begun doing this eye exercise that I learned years ago and was doing consistently for a while, and now I don't anymore. Now I'm just like, oh, I've got 30 seconds. Part of it is just taking a break from looking at a screen. Why not do some eye exercises? So that's been really good. And sometimes it can feel really soon. Right now it's programmed to tell me every 3 minutes, although if I'm not touching the computer, it doesn't do it, which is good, because sometimes I'm up and doing other things already, but also sometimes I am reading an article. Although even reading, you're scrolling, but sometimes I'm watching something and then it doesn't remind me because I'm not touching anything. So it's good that it's not doing it all the time. I think that would drive me crazy. Sometimes when I really am working, it can be a lot. So far I've had it for 3 days and I've really enjoyed it. And I it really, I think that sometimes we just feel like, oh, I just have to keep focusing, I have to keep doing this. Because we feel like we need to be productive. We feel like we're at work, we have to be doing things a certain way. We're not, we don't want to like cheat someone out of something. But I've definitely found for myself, especially right now, like I was not doing stuff. I did not have the headspace to be creatively working on new things. I could kind of do the bare minimum, but anything above that I just wasn't capable of doing. And giving, like, our brains do need exercise, and we do get our brains get stimulated by doing physical things, and so taking that time to keep my body healthy makes me more productive worker. And I'm even hating that word productive. Like, oh gosh, there's all this emphasis on being so productive and being so busy. That's been something I've really wrestled with, just like this idea of being busy, and figuring out ways to give myself space and time for creativity, which requires downtime. But it can be really hard to do in a work environment because we're supposed to be busy all the time. And so how do I just sit and, a lot of creativity even comes from boredom. And so just really allowing for boredom to happen so that ideas can then be sparked. Yeah, that's what I've been thinking about. So how are you doing? How are you doing physically, mentally, emotionally, creatively? All of these things can relate, or they can also be different. We can be doing really well in one aspect and not in another. So I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear how things are going for you. And I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye. Faut tricoter. D'accord, c'est parce que je veux le faire en français. Pourquoi je ne le fais pas? Je peux faire des bloopers à la fin.